Thank you, Brian. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes,
okay.
we hear you.
Yes.
Very well. There's my slide. Thanks for the opportunity. I'll talk a bit about the challenges for the chemical industry, and then the next level of challenges we may expect. You all know DOW more or less, I guess, because DOW was one of the early participants in the project before it merged with DuPont. As a major chemical industry, US-based, but with quite some decent representation in Europe with large sites. I share some of our vision and strategy, what kind of challenges we are facing, and how we are approaching these currently and in the near future. Basically, there are a couple of these challenges. The major one, actually, which is an overarching long-term challenge, is based on the long-term sustainability issue of demographics and providing food, energy, and food and water. That's actually the raw material and energy transition which we are facing as a chemical industry. And that's related to a lot of different subjects, as you can see. Along to that, we still have the issue of freshwater availability and supply, and that's even more enhanced with climate change, sea level rise, and salinization of the coastal areas, which we are currently seeing, but will be just more enhanced in the future. On top of that, we see that within that whole transition stage, we have to meet the Paris Agreement with all the requirements on carbon dioxide removal and such, and this all fits very well with the SPIRE objectives and the Green Deal announced by the European Commission. On top of that, we have several other issues, one of which is to assure a business approach where we have a reliable and robust operation of our assets. And yeah, the question is what does that all mean for water? Well, how we approach that is we look at our different businesses, our different sites, and develop plans for each of them. Because water is a global issue, but the solutions are local or at least regional. So we generate knowledge within ourselves, in our expertise, but we also collaborate with others, especially in the non-competitive areas. And for water, we have identified 6 major sites which are under severe water stress, and some of these are in Europe, as you can see. And for each of them, we are developing programs to face that for the future. And solutions will be different for each case because circumstances are different and boundaries are also different. So just to give you a few examples of where we stand today, we did some significant projects already on water reuse. The Terneuzen location where I'm sitting is one of the examples where we established collaboration with regional parties and enabled city water reuse in our processes. In fact, the same is happening in Tarragona, where part of this project is also being trialed. There's also a close collaboration with the city and the region to recuperate effluent from the wastewater treatment plants of the cities and use that in the petrochemical industry. On the somewhat broader scale, we start collaborations in regions, and in the Netherlands we have Smart Delta Resources, which is actually a collaboration between large industries in the region, and where we try to identify exchange of raw materials, waste, byproducts, energy, and water is part of that. And we already have a couple of examples there. We transfer excess hydrogen from our sites to fertilizer producer Yara, which uses that as a raw material. And we are piloting, say, new feedstocks for our processes using, say, the carbon monoxide and dioxide of the steel industry with our hydrogen to produce, say, that new generation of cracker feedstock. In that whole activity of more sustainable solutions, we will have a chain of processes which are connected together, and you can compare that to pole jumping, where all the bits and pieces of that chain need to perfectly fit together. Otherwise, the jump will fail. And that's also in our chain in processes. They all need to fit together, and we need to make sure that they all are as strong as the weakest chain in that chain. So if you look from an overall perspective, as a chemical industry, we are looking ahead, not just the next couple of years, but the next 10 to 30 years to reach our sustainability objectives. We see that collaborations over the fence are really key to generate real sustainable solutions, because we can't do it on our own, and also the others can't do it on our own. And together we need to make the best of our resources. On long term, we also see that the business environment is such that we need more reliable process, more robust, to avoid failures, to avoid issues with legislation and emissions to air and surface waters. And in that, it's really case that we look for long-term solutions and not just for the short-term success, which may be nice, but it's just a temporary success. So with that, I conclude my talk. I'm available for questions now in the panel or offline. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Niels. We have one question. We take one quick question from Leonardo. Can you see it in the public chat there?
I have to look at that.
I'll read it for you then. What is your approach on CapEx, as water costs in some regions are unrealistically low and cannot compete with other projects by normal economic analysis? That makes sense to you?
Yeah, it does. Well, in fact, we are looking at the impact on our processes, and it's even the way we approach it is, hey, how do you look at your process at the cost of no water instead of the low cost of water available? So what's the impact if there's no water or little water? Then the numbers in production issues rise quite rapidly. So that's a way to justify even low water cost projects.